Welcome to On This Day, the channel that takes you on a journey through time to explore the significant events that occurred on this day in history. Today, we'll be diving into the archives of April 6th and discovering some of the most fascinating moments that shaped the world we live in. On this day, we remember the courage and sacrifice of those who fought in battles such as the Battle of Shiloh during the American Civil War, and the decisive victory of Julius Caesar in the Battle of Thapsus. We also commemorate the opening of the first modern Olympic Games in Athens, Greece, which brought a renewed sense of unity and sportsmanship to the world stage. However, not all moments in history are positive, and we also remember the tragedy of the Rwandan genocide that began on April 6, 1994, and the devastating impact it had on the people of Rwanda. But it's not all about events that happened on this day. We'll also be celebrating the birthdays of notable figures like Paul Rudd and Billy Dee Williams. Join us as we explore these and many other significant moments in history on this day, April 6th. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with our latest videos. Julius Caesar defeats Caecilius Metellus Scipio and Marcus Porcius Cato, Cato the Younger, in the Battle of Thapsus. 46 BC. This was a decisive battle that took place on April 6, 46 BC, between Julius Caesar and his opponents Caecilius Metellus Scipio and Cato the Younger, the Battle of Thapsus. The Battle of Thapsus was a part of the Roman Civil War that lasted from 49 to 45 BC. The battle took place in the North African city of Thapsus, modern-day Tunisia. The battle was fought between the forces of Julius Caesar and the forces of the Roman Senate. The forces of Julius Caesar were outnumbered but better trained and equipped. Caesar's army consisted of around 50,000 soldiers, while the forces of the Roman Senate had around 70,000 soldiers. Caesar's army was made up of battle-hardened veterans who had served with him in Gaul and were loyal to him. On the other hand, the forces of the Roman Senate were made up of raw recruits who were poorly trained and inexperienced. The battle was fierce and lasted for several hours. The forces of the Roman Senate initially had the upper hand, but Julius Caesar's forces managed to turn the tide of the battle. Caesar's forces used their superior training and tactics to outmaneuver their opponents and ultimately won the battle. The victory at the Battle of Thapsus was a turning point in the Roman Civil War. With this victory, Julius Caesar secured his position as the ruler of Rome and consolidated his power. The victory at Thapsus was also the last major battle in the Roman Civil War, which came to an end the following year with the defeat of Caesar's last opponent, Gnaeus Pompey. Napoleon abdicates for the first time and is exiled to Elba. 1814. This was an event that shaped the political landscape of Europe, as one of the most powerful leaders of the time abdicated his throne and was exiled to a small island in the Mediterranean. On this day, April 6, in the year 1814, Napoleon Bonaparte abdicated as the Emperor of France for the first time and was exiled to the island of Elba. Napoleon had been in power for more than a decade, during which he had waged wars and conquered most of Europe. However, his empire began to crumble after his disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812. As a result, the Allied powers of Europe declared war on France and invaded its territories. After a series of military defeats, Napoleon was forced to abdicate his throne and was sent to exile in the island of Elba, which was situated off the coast of Italy. Despite being stripped of his power, Napoleon did not give up on his ambitions. He managed to escape from Elba and returned to France, where he regained his popularity and power. This led to the famous 100 Days period, during which Napoleon launched a campaign against the Allied powers. However, his final defeat came at the Battle of Waterloo, after which he was exiled again, this time to the island of St. Helena, where he eventually died in 1821. The abdication of Napoleon and his subsequent exile to Elba marked the end of an era, as the political and social order of Europe was reshaped in the aftermath of his reign. It also inspired several literary works, including Stendhal's The Charterhouse of Parma and Victor Hugo's Les Miserables. American Civil War. The Battle of Shiloh begins in Tennessee. 1862. The Battle of Shiloh, also known as the Battle of Pittsburgh Landing, was a major battle in the Western theater of the American Civil War. It began when Confederate forces launched a surprise attack on Union forces, who were encamped near Shiloh Church. The two-day battle resulted in a Union victory, but at a high cost. There were over 23,000 casualties on both sides, making it one of the bloodiest battles of the war up to that point. One of the interesting things about the Battle of Shiloh is that it was a turning point in the war. Up until this point, many people in the North believed that the war would be a quick and easy victory. However, the high casualties at Shiloh made it clear that the war would be much longer and bloodier than many had anticipated. Another interesting fact is that the Battle of Shiloh was one of the first battles where soldiers used the new rifled muskets, which had a much longer range and greater accuracy than the old smoothbore muskets. This made the battle even more deadly than previous battles, as soldiers could fire accurately from greater distances. The Battle of Shiloh also had a significant impact on the course of the war. It allowed Union forces to gain control of the Mississippi River, which was a crucial supply route for the Confederacy. This victory set the stage for the Union to gain control of the entire Mississippi River, splitting the Confederacy in two. In Athens, the opening of the first modern Olympic Games is celebrated 1,500 years after the original Games were held. 1896. On this day, April 6, 1896, history was made as the first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens, Greece. The Games were a revival of the ancient Greek tradition of athletic competitions held every 4 years in honor of Zeus. The Games were held in the Panathenaic Stadium, a historic venue built entirely out of marble. Athletes from 14 countries participated in the Games, which included 9 sports and 43 events. The opening ceremony was a grand affair, attended by over 60,000 people, including King George I of Greece. The highlight of the ceremony was the Parade of Nations, in which the athletes marched into the stadium carrying their respective national flags. The first event of the Games was the 100-meter dash, won by American athlete James Connolly. Other notable events included the marathon, won by Greek runner Spiridon Lewis, and the wrestling competition, which saw the participation of both Greek and Turkish athletes, who had been at war just a few years earlier. The closing ceremony of the Games was a simpler affair than the opening ceremony, but no less significant. The modern Olympic Games had been reborn, and the world had witnessed a new era of athletic competition. Today, the Olympic Games are a global phenomenon, with athletes from all over the world coming together to compete in the spirit of sportsmanship and fair play. The modern Olympic Games owe their origin to the historic event that took place on this day, April 6, 1896. The Rwandan genocide begins. 1994. April 7, 1994, we remember one of the most tragic events of the 20th century, the start of the Rwandan genocide. On this day in 1994, the genocide against the Tutsi people of Rwanda began. Over the next 100 days, an estimated 800,000 people were killed in one of the most brutal and devastating conflicts of modern times. The genocide was a result of long-standing ethnic tensions between the Tutsi and Hutu peoples, which were further stoked by political and economic factors. The genocide began when the airplane carrying Rwandan President Juvenal Habyarimana, a Hutu, was shot down on April 6, 1994. This event was used as a pretext by extremist Hutu leaders to launch a campaign of mass killings against Tutsi people and moderate Hutus who opposed the genocide. Roadblocks were set up across the country, and Tutsis were singled out, hunted down, and murdered in their homes, schools, and churches. The international community was slow to respond to the crisis, and the UN peacekeeping mission in Rwanda was unable to prevent the violence from escalating. It was not until July 1994, after the Tutsi-led Rwandan Patriotic Front had defeated the Hutu government and taken control of the country, that the genocide came to an end. The legacy of the genocide is still felt today, both in Rwanda and around the world. The United Nations has declared April 7 as the International Day of Reflection on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, to honor the victims and raise awareness of the need to prevent genocide in the future. Notable birthdays. Paul Rudd, Zach Braff, Billy D. Williams. That concludes our video on the significant events and notable birthdays that happened on April 6th. We hope you enjoyed learning about these fascinating historical moments and famous individuals. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel on this day for more videos on important events in history. Join us again next time for another episode where we explore the past and learn more about the events that have shaped our world. Thank you for watching.